Hello, 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 everyone. Good afternoon or evening, wherever you might be. It's Kate Richberg from beadshop.com. I'm starting a little bit early. I'm not going to turn the camera on quite yet, so just bear with me. I want to make sure that everything is all set and ready, and we have got it going on on all of our streams. So if you can see me, just make sure that you give me a comment. It looks like we are all streaming and ready to go. So yes, great. I'm glad you all can hear me. So great. I'm just getting my board prepared here while I wait for just till 3:30, we'll get started. We'll get started here. So thanks for bearing with me, all of you guys. It's great to have everybody here and up and running. I hope that you've had a great time watching all of these presenters. I will tell you that I certainly have. Everyone has been just so amazing. And I'm not on the screen yet. I'm just talking to you. So you're not going to see me until 3:30. So you're just listening. I'd like to know, while we're waiting for the official broadcast time, if you guys would tell me where you're watching this from. I'd love to know where you guys are coming from all over the world. It's great to have everybody here and watching on this Saturday afternoon here. So we're almost there, counting down, right? I think I've got everything. We're almost ready, right? We're going to have a fun day today. We're going to do a wrap bracelet, a beadshop.com classic that I think you guys will really, really love. So I don't know if you can hear me pouring those beads out from my little bead tubes, but they're here and ready to go. Okay, all right. Well, it looks like the clock has just turned 3:30. So that means that it's time for my segment here for the Great Bead Extravaganza. And here I am, and here you all are. Well, welcome. I'm Kate Richberg from beadshop.com, and it's fantastic to be back here for the Great Bead Extravaganza. We're doing this, of course, in lieu of Tucson this year. I've been going to Tucson since 1992. It was my first trip there, and I every year in Tucson I do a lot of teaching, right? I teach, I run from venue to venue and do all kinds of great stuff with classes. So we're all missing each other. All of us here at the Great Bead Extravaganza are missing Tucson and missing seeing each other. But let's get this party started, shall we? I wanted to mention, here at beadshop.com, you can follow us on a myriad of social media channels. I broadcast every Wednesday and Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, and you can catch us right on our beadshop.com YouTube channel is the best way to find us. We're also streaming right now into the Great Bead Extravaganza YouTube channel, so I might mention to give that a follow as well. Not all of the presenters will be streaming into that YouTube channel, but it is up and running, and more content is to come there. Of course, you can also join us on our Facebook page, the Bead Table for beadshop.com. We'd love to have you. We have over 6,000 members there, and there's a lot of bead love and a lot of great learning and great stuff there. So we'd love to have you join us there. And of course, if you follow us on our social at beadshop.com on our Instagram, we would really love to see you there. We post a lot of sneak peeks and fun stuff that you can find over on our Insta, exclusive content there. And then, of course, we always thank you for watching. I'm not going to end this broadcast. I put this back up at the end as well. But I wanted to tell you, you can find all of the information on the project and the products from today's broadcast right on our website. And you can sign up for our newsletter for the latest discounts, giveaways, and new products. Now, I have some a special discount for you guys that I will reveal at the end of this segment. But if you're looking for everything I'm using, I put a little banner across me here, above and below. You can go right to beadshop.com, and I titled this project Woodland Walk, and it's a herringbone ladder wrap, and it's especially for the Great Bead Extravaganza. So you'll see this logo right there, this slider. You'll see it right up on our homepage. You can click right on that and it'll take you right to Woodland Walk. You can add all of the ingredients right into your cart. And if you stay with me till the end of the broadcast, I'll have a special discount for you to use as well. So let's see who's here. Gosh, we've got so many people watching, which is great. Oh, I see our Gita. Gita, you're here. It's 12:30 a.m. in Denmark. So thank you so much for watching and joining us from all the way across the pond. So let's get this project on the road, shall we? We're going to do a wrap, and this wrap that I'm doing, is going to be a fun one. We are going to do the herringbone Superduo. So let me spotlight that one. There we are, right there. I'm going to do that. Can you see it? I think so. And let me put my glasses on so I can see this. So we're broadcasting in all of our usual places, in our createwithbeadshop.com Facebook page, our Facebook group, the Bead Table. We're on our YouTube channel on beadshop.com, as well as in the Great Bead Extravaganza YouTube channel, and last but not least, the fantastic Great Bead Extravaganza group. Now, I also wanted to mention, you guys, at the end of, we're going, and I'll put the schedule up when I'm done, but the Great Bead Extravaganza is going through until Sunday. And then on Sunday, we're going to have an announcement about what's coming up next for the Great Bead Extravaganza. So you're going to have to stay tuned for that, and it's going to be good times. So here is the wrap, and I'm going to get a little bit closer to this right here so you guys can see what I've got. Now this is this herringbone weave with Superduos. We use this a lot in like our multiple strand wraps, right? But I thought it would be fun just to do a single wrap here for you today. I think it's great for both guys and gals. I know my Chris would definitely wear this. When I came in today, and Brittany and Krista are filling here in the offices, and they're both like, oh, our significant others would wear those too. So I think it's really cool. I'm going to show you how to set this up. There's a question here. Can you do this on a loom? You actually don't need a loom, and I'm going to show you how we do this. We're going to connect this. You could use even a clipboard if you want, or a little like shoebox lid, but I'm going to show you how I've connected it to my board. It's super, super easy. Okay. So this is just going to be a single strand wrap, and all you need, the ingredients are a button, and I've used this wonderful tiara cast button, what we call New Leaf here on the beadshop.com website. I'm using the Raku Superduos. Heather Powers was using Superduos today too in her really fantastic design. I love Superduos. They really have a vintage kind of feel to them. And if you know me, if you watch me on Wednesdays and Fridays, you know that I am all about a vintage bead or a vintage style piece of jewelry. So that's that. The Superduos. And then you use an 8/0, and you could use a Japanese size 8, right? But I'm going to use this size 8 metal bead, and this is an antique copper bead. But any size 8 will do. But I think that this distressed brown, I'm using the 1.5 millimeter distressed brown leather cord here. I think it's a great match for it. I think it gives it a little bit of a vintage or rugged feel to it. Now, the laddering technique, you guys, that I'm going to be using is I'm going to infinity stitch. Now, don't stress about the infinity stitch. I know that some of you think infinity stitch and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. But I'm going to show you. We're going to walk through this step by step. So I'm going to put all of this aside and let's take a look. And I'll talk to you about the needle and thread I'm using right now. Let's take a look at my board here. Let me straighten everything out. Okay, so can you see how I'm using just what we call our regular deep dish jewelry board? Okay, super easy, right? And I've got a velvet pad inside here. You could also use, I've got one right here. You could use a macrame board, like we sell a small macrame board. I like to flip it to the other side and use the back side. Or you could clip this into like a clipboard if you had, right? You don't have to have a loom at all, right? So that's it. And can you see right here? Let me pull in a little bit tighter so you can see. All right, whoops, sorry. We don't want to disturb. Don't disturb the camera. Sorry, you guys. Whoops. Bear with me here for just a moment. We should be back. There we go. Sorry, I hit the camera and it came out. We don't want that to happen. What I did was to connect this piece on the board was I just took a piece of kitchen twine, made a little loop, put the back of my button in that loop, and used one of what we call our clampers to clamp that sucker right down. The thing when you're laddering, kids, is that your leather needs to be taut on the surface. Okay, if you're laddering and your leather isn't lashed down, you're going to get something that's wavy gravy and it doesn't look good. So lashing it down to the board, okay, like this, is the best way to get a good, clean result. I also see over on our YouTube feed, our founder and fearless leader, Janice Parsons, is over there doing some moderating as well. So thank you so much, Janice, for being on here. You can see a lot of Janice's really wonderful and amazing designs over on our website, beadshop.com. And in just a couple of weeks, not this coming week, but the following week, she has one of her classic color study pieces that are coming up, and it's in the Pantone colorways, and you're not going to believe how beautiful it is. It's just incredible. So let me show you how we start this, okay? And I know that some of you are saying it's your first time here, and you're like, oh my gosh, can I really do something like this? And no, Terry says, not to disparage wavy gravy. No, whoops, that's a thank you. Whoops, I would just show this one. Oops, I keep getting it. Here, let me try this. Not to disparage wavy gravy. No, Terry, I promise I don't. But, you know, wavy gravy didn't always walk a straight line, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that's the story there. So the project trays we carry all of these things right over on Bead Shop, also including the macrame boards. So there's so much over there to discover. So I've got two pieces lashed down here. And the way that we're going to start, let me show you with this piece that I've finished. Can you see here, the thread that I'm using is KO, and I'm using the dark brown KO in the project, okay? And what I've done is I've macrameed the very top of this. That's how I've connected it. I'm also going to show you a different way to connect if you don't want to do the macrame. So I'm going to show you two types, Okay, so first let's do the macrame because it's a little more difficult to do, not much more difficult, but I want to show you that one first. I'm using in the project I've used the dark brown KO because it matches really well, but I thought I would use this smoke green or smoke gray. It kind of looks green. It's a little bit lighter. It's a little bit easier for you to see when I'm tying the knots. So I've reeled off, you guys, it's about 2 yards of KO. Any skinny thread will work. So if you're not down with KO and you like, Superlon D or Ceylon D, or you like Hana, which we also carry, any of the skinny threads, the skinny beading threads will work. I'm shying away from Fireline on this one, just because, and I like Fireline, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the KOs and the other threads are they have a little more softness to them, and I don't want this bracelet to be super stiff. Okay, so what I did here, and we've got a lot of skill builders, okay, and Janice has linked in our YouTube feed where our skill builders are, how to macrame skill builder. If you go right to beadshop.com and you go on the top under learning, you'll see the skill builders and you'll see so many skill builders there. Someone also asked a great question, and I'm gonna address it here. Marion says, my beads end up popping from laddering. How do I avoid it? So hold that thought, Marion, and I'm going to address that as I do this. Okay, so I'm going to start with I'm going to give myself a tail. My needle has been threaded. I've also waxed so that my thread is hanging together nice and tight, right? And so what I'm doing is I'm coming in, and the side that has my needle on it, to start my macrame, I'm going to bring my thread underneath my leather. I'm going to give myself a tail of maybe 6 or 8 inches maybe. And we're going to macrame, and we're going to start by making a loop on this side. This is the P side here. So I'm going to make the loop, and the loop is the side with the needle on it. Okay? So I make that loop. Now with the left side, it happens to be the right-hand side here. With the left side, I go over that thread, under the leather, and up through the loop, and I tighten it. And you can see there's my first little half hitch knot. Okay, so now I'm going to do the loop with the other side. And so the needle, the side that I do this Q, like the letter Q, it's going to look like, the needle transfers over back and forth. So I'm never passing the needle through the loop. I'm always passing just the ends of the thread through. Okay, so here's my P, like that, or my Q rather here. My thread comes over the top, under the leather, and up through the loop. Okay, and now I'm going to reverse it. Now I've got my P, there's my loop, over the thread, under the leather, up through the loop. And you want to macrame enough so that you're clearing the button, okay? And just as long as you want to do it, right? That, I think, looks pretty good. I'm going to give myself one more because I like going from the left. Sorry, that was backwards. I like laddering from the left side to the right for infinity stitch. Okay, all right, so here's that. So now, and remember, this is still nice and taut here. So, but what if you don't want to do macrame? You're like, Kate, for goodness sakes, please don't make me macrame. Well, I'm going to show you how I do that. Let me just thread another needle. I should have had one ready to go, but I didn't. So let me just grab one here. And I've got a needle right I think I do, right here. And, you know, you can attach it in a bunch of different ways. If you watched the last great bead extravaganza that I did, I taught you all how to silk wrap the top of a needle. Silk wrapping is a lot of fun. And that's a skill builder also on beadshop.com. I use silk wrapping a lot to close things up, to connect things up, stuff like that. Okay. So let me lift this camera up just a little bit. Okay. And then what I do is I'm going to unleash this. And what I do is I get my KO. I lay it along my leather. And you're going to see this knot again. I'm going to do this again later. I'm going to make that loop. I'm going to come through with the leather and the needle. And if your thread matched, right, you wouldn't worry about this too much, but you just knot it right in there because the thread would be brown, right? I would walk this up just a little bit. You want to try not to twist it too much. There we go. Slide it on up. And then pull all the threads so they're nice and tight. I'd pull that one, I'd pull that one, I'd pull these two. And can you see how now your thread is tied in your leather? What you could also do before you tighten that knot up is you could use your GS Hypo, right? And you could get just a little bit inside that knot before you finish tightening the knot. And then you can come in and you can clip those threads away later. And you can see the thread in that knot because it doesn't match. But if we were having it match, it wouldn't be seen at all. So that now this is ready to go. Okay, but I'm gonna put this aside for the moment. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, so now I've done this macrame, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little piece of white paper under this so I don't get any glue on my pristine board here. Usually I have a little baggie, but I think I used them all up on my broadcast this past week. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the GS cement, and I'm going to just add just a touch right there along the edge of my macrame. And when this GS has cured, I usually wait overnight. I like the GS to really sit before I cut it away. I'll use my thread burner and I'll come in and I'll thread that away. And we carry the thread burner here at beadshop.com. We carry the Perfect End thread burner, it's called, and it's great. It's really fantastic for getting rid of threads. So I'm going to, let me lift this up so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So let's start with the laddering section, okay? And let's look at the sample here. The sample here, if you can see it, I've started with, we're going to ladder in one Superduo, and then two super duos. Then we're going to start the herringbone with the A dot. Okay, so let's ladder in this first one. Now, I think it was Marion who asked, well, my beads pop out, right? Well, you want to make sure that your beads have enough air so that they can kind of move freely about, okay, but not too freely. Okay, so I'm going to start with this Superduo, and I'm going to show you how I leave that little bit of air. I'm also going to cut, though I wouldn't, remember, this is Kate jewelry making time and not, or Kate demo time, not real jewelry making time. So I don't want to, I wouldn't cut it real close. I also am lashing this back down to the board with the same little red clips that I used up here. Okay. So it's nice, again, nice and taut on this. If your, I'll say it again, I'm going to say it all day today. If your leather isn't straight and nice and taut, nice and tight on the board, you're going to have ripples. And no one wants a ripple in my, in your wrap bracelet. So I'm going to start out with this red one. Okay, and so I'm going to go, remember that Superduos have 2 holes. And so you may just want to check both holes before you ladder it in, because sometimes these little dudes can get clogged. And after you've done the one hole, you come through and you're like, wait a minute, that second hole is clogged. So I'm going to come in and I'm starting from the right, going to the left. Okay, this is my left, making my L with my left hand. This is my right hand over here. Okay, so what we do is I always add my bead from my left hand side. Okay, and I've got this doubled thread over. So here it comes. It's going to come in and I nestle, I go over, see how I've gone over the top of that leather. I open the leather up, I tighten it down, and see, again, if the thread were matching, you wouldn't be able to see it much, okay? But since the thread is contrasting, I did that on purpose so you could really see this, okay? So I've come under, right, like so. Now I'm going to go over the Superduo, back through. It doesn't want to nestle down quite yet, so just tell it that you're the boss, right? Now I'm going to go under the leather, and I'm going to go through that top hole one more time on the top. So I come through, and this is when I start to do that infinity, right? So I've gone through the loop, through the hole, like that. You can hear the wax on there. Under the leather, and tighten it up. Make sure that your threads look nice on both sides, okay? And this is probably about all the thread. I hope I can make that last pass through the Superduo. I hope so. There we go. It's a tight fit, but it'll work. It'll go through, okay? So doing that 2 passes of thread, that's going to lash that down right in there, so it's not going to move, okay? So now I'm going to bring my needle underneath the side of the leather, and if we look at our sample, you can see it's time to add your 2 Superduos. Okay, so I'm going to, and the cool thing about the Raku is, the Raku Superduos, is that there's so many different colors in the mix. I like using matching colors for the pair of herringbones that I do here, right? So I'm going to pick out a pair. I'm going to pick out a blue pair. And this is, what I'm using is a size 10 beading needle with the KO that's been doubled over that I started with this macrame. So see how my thread is coming out under my leather here? So now my thread is coming around and it goes over the thread like that, right? And I'm going to go through my Superduo hole and see how this Superduo just nestles, tighten it up, nestles right where it should. I'm going to get my next one, put it in there, and go under my leather and slide that guy into place. Let me slide it in, and then I'll show you. Okay, so there's that. All right, so now I have to go back through these holes, right? I don't want to jump down to the second set of Superduo holes. I'm going to go back through these holes. So I'm going to go back. My needle path goes through the blue and goes through the red. And if you can't make that bend, that's okay. Just make it on the straight, go to the red. You can see my wax is coming off a little bit, but that'll just kind of blend in. And then I'll go through this Superduo here. And I know this looks a little bit like the dog's breakfast here, okay, but you just have to see it through. So I've gone through that hole. Now I'm passing my thread under the leather, fixing my sides up. And if one piece of the thread, like mine is not quite as tight as the other, pull on each strand. There it goes until it looks nice. Okay, so now we've got this. Okay, let me show you. Now, kids, it's time for the A dots. So I want everybody to take a deep breath. This is all good in the hood, right? I'm going to take a bracing cup of coffee. Now it's time to add an A dot. So the recipe from here on out is an A dot, a Superduo, a new Superduo, through the 2 old Superduos, a new Superduo, and an A dot. Now I know you're like, wait, what? So let me just show you. Here's an A dot. Here's an A dot and a Superduo. I'm going to use the green one. Okay. These are on. My thread is coming out. Now I'm going to go over through the 2 Superduos. 1 and 2, like that. Okay. Pull it through. And that Superduo, the space is going to widen up just a bit. And if you need to kind of move your clamps a little bit to kind of open things up, you can. Now see, here's this. So now I just do the same thing, but on the opposite side. I need a Superduo and an A dot. And I'm going to send my thread under the side of the leather from the left to the right. Now, see what I've got here? Let me get it in there, and then I'll move my fingers. Once you put on a couple of rows, it really establishes itself. But can you see it's a little wonky, but it won't be for much longer. Okay. Now I'm going to follow the thread path that I just made. I'm ignoring these 2 holes down there. That's for my next pass, my next set of beads. So here I go through my A dot, up through the new Superduo and the old Superduo. And see my needle path? I kind of go right there at a diagonal. Okay? Just like that. All right? Then we send it through. And you guys will be able to watch this replay again and again. I will add it to our Great Bead Extravaganza playlist on beadshop.com on our YouTube channel. You'll be able to find it, no problem. And so you'll be able to watch this over and over when you get your supplies or when you're ready to conquer this. Now, see with this one, I'm going to go down. See when my needle had come up, now I'm going to go down through the second hole of this guy, the first hole of that guy, and then my A dot. Okay. So now you can see how this, oh, and I'm going to go under my leather. That'll make everything sit nicer. So see there how we've established that pattern? You can't because my fingers are in the way. There we go. Okay, so now it is, as my friend Emily Miller likes to say, lather, rinse, repeat. So I'm going to put on my suit. Now see how it's kind of, again, kind of loosey-goosey here. It's going to right itself after maybe about another row. So just bear with me here. I'm going to put on my Superduo. You always add, I'm sorry, my A dot. So the mantra is add an A dot, add a new Superduo. I'll add this kind of yellowy goldenrod color now. Go through the 2 holes of the previous Superduos. Add another new Superduo and another new A dot. Okay, tighten it up. And see there? There we go. Look at that. Now you follow that thread path back. Okay. So we've gone under the leather on the right side. So now we come up and over through that A dot, through the first Superduo, through the second Superduo. Pull your thread all the way through. Don't try and make that jump and go back through all 4. Now we're going to turn that corner and come back through the green, the yellow, and the A dot. Okay. Now, if your thread, look at what I've got here. How my thread is like it's a little loose, right? So I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull here on the side. I have a little. You can use an awl or T-pin. Whoops, that came off the board, but I'll put it back on. And then you kind of pull it, and there we go. That's nice and straight now, nice and tight. And someone wanted to see the back of the board, so I want to show you. I'm going to do a couple more rows, but let me show you what the big board looks like here. Okay, so you can see I've lashed on my ends here, and I want them to be about the same width as this laddering is going to be. Okay, just like so. Pass my thread underneath. We always start from underneath on my right side. So let's add another pair. Okay, get that camera closer. And what's the mantra? A-dot, new Superduo. I'll add a blue one. Through the 2 holes of the former Superduos, then the same color of new Superduo that you did on the first pass, and an A-dot. Go under the leather and then follow the thread path. The thread path goes through the A-dot, the new Superduo, the previous Superduo, turn it back down through the yellow, the blue, the 8, and under the leather. And make yourself a sampler. Like if you have some scrap leather, you know, and you're like, I don't know about this stitch, get yourself a little piece of scrap leather, right? You're not committing to like a full giant piece even, you know, you don't even have to put a button on it if you don't want, or, you know, you can cut it off later, whatever, but just do a little bit of practicing and then jump in, dive into your project. So I put on my A-dot, my new green Superduo, going through the 2 holes of the blue, and now I'll put the green Superduo on, so it's the same color as the first one in that line, under the leather, and back through the 8, back through the back through the 8, back through the new, back through the old, and back. Oops, sorry, I hit the camera. Then down through the old one, through the new green one, and down. Okay. And again, if you have a tension issue, and today I seem to be having a tension issue, I don't know why, and really look at it. And it's hard to see on this camera, but if I get real tight, you can see how this is kind of loose on this side, and this side is kind of tight. If you see that, right, you can just grab it, open it up, open it up with your, or pull it with your beading awl or with a T-pin, kind of pull it tight and then pull it back, and that should take care of, though it didn't, so let me do it again. Let me pull that, there we go. Nice and tight. Then I kind of put my fingers over it. Whoops, going out of frame there, and tightening it down. Okay, so now you can use whatever cord you want, right? You can use a 1 millimeter. It'll be a little bit thinner, right, on the sides. You could pop all the way up. I've got some 2 millimeter sitting here. You could make it a little bit heavier, right, that way. So it just depends on how you want to go for it. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of more rounds, and then I'm going to show you how I do this. I'm going to do it what I call a little bit more at Kate speed. Also, you can see how this is getting a little not so tight on here. So I'm going to tighten up my, let me raise the camera so you can see me do it all at once. I'm going to tighten this one up first. Then make sure it's straight. right? We don't want to do it at an angle. And then this comes down here and doing this right here. This would also be, someone mentioned it would be very pretty as a pendant. It sure would. You know, you can go, you know, finish it off like it would be, you know, you can attach this to like a, we carry these really cool large lobster claws or something like that, or a nice pretty jump ring would also look great. So here's my ADOT. Let's get some Superduos in there. Let's do a red one. We haven't done a red one for a while. I'm just kind of picking up the Superduos as the colors move me. So we go through the two, we have the ADOT, the new Superduo, through the two previous Superduos, and then a new red one, same color as the first, and the ADOT bead. Under the leather on the right side, and up and through the two on the right, and then the two on the left. And you can see at the beginning, it's a little wonky, right? But it writes itself after about 3 rows. You really start to get the hang of all this, right? I think it looks good. And so thread-wise, you guys, I see a lot of chit-chat about thread on the various feeds here. Use whatever skinny thread you like, right? A slim KO I like. You could use microcelon if you wanted to, or you could use, you know, whatever Hana, whatever thin threads you like. But remember, we double them over by starting it with the macrame. Okay, so it just depends. Whoops, get over there. Just depends on what you prefer. I like this KO a lot. So remember, so now go through the yellow, through the red, turn that corner, and go back down. So let's take a look at how we would continue this and how we would size this, okay? Because this is a matter of just wash, rinse, and repeat, okay? We would just do this as much as you'd like. Now, if this were just a section of a wrap, and so let me take this off. I'm going to unlash this, and let's take a look at the one that I have finished over here. Now, the amount of leather that I use, the way that we carry leather here at beadshop.com, we carry a bunch of different colors and sizes of leather. We carry it in 4-yard, what we call bundles or nests, okay? So I would go ahead and I think I will measure this for you exactly so you know. I just reeled it off, but I will tell you. This is about 30 inches, right? And so so that'll give you plenty to work with. There's a quick question that says, is there a reason that you don't pass the needle under the leather after going through the beads? You can. So that question is, if I'm here, and I think what you're asking is, I go through the beads this way, right? I'm coming through and I pull everything through and then I pass my needle under. For me, that just gives me a tighter tension, so I don't do that whole step going through the beads and under. I'll go through and then I'll pass my needle underneath. But if you just do that in one pass and go under, that's fine too. Whatever works for you, okay? But this allows me to kind of, when it's at the top, it allows me to pull that tension a little bit tighter, and then I'll pass it underneath, okay? So to measure, my wrist is 6.5 inches, okay? So I have made this wrap, and you can see I've got extra here. So I could do some kind of a transition bead or a macrame or something, and then I could continue to do something else for the wrap. Maybe, I don't know, however, whatever, some 8/0 or some 4mm, whatever. Whatever you wanted to add there. And if you go to beadshop.com, I didn't want to overwhelm you with too many samples. We have so many projects for you to be inspired by, so you can see that. Okay. So Kat has a question about how many packs of beads to do a double wrap. Well, you can see I've dumped out a whole bunch of beads and I still have some in there. So I think one tube, and I've got plenty of beads here. So one tube will probably do a double wrap of this. Okay. So you should have plenty there. Whoops, sorry, I took that out of the shot. So if my wrist is 6.5 inches, I did this one, what I like to call door to door, from where the button's going to go to about right here is about 6.25 inches. I want my wrap. My wrap is going to be about 7.25, which means I'm just about right on here. Okay. So, but make this about 3/4, and depending on the number of wraps, if this were 2 wraps or 3 wraps or 4 wraps, I would make this about 1 inch longer to fit me. Okay, but since this is just a single wrap, pretty straightforward, it's going to end up at about 7.25. So now I want you to see what I did here, because we all have feet of clay sometimes when we're doing this. And I was doing this sample and I didn't have enough thread, right? You can come in, and if I were to add thread, let me just back up here just a second. If I were to add thread, I'd just weave this. I'd come around the leather. I'd have it lashed down to the board, but I'd come back through around the leather so the thread was caught. Let's see if I can do that here. And I would go just back through, just like you were weaving off seed beads, right? And I would go through these guys and go back and up several beads, maybe jumping to this side, but you get the idea, right? Just as if you were, weaving off seed beads. I'd keep my needle where it was, and then I'd start a new thread, weave it, weave it, weave it, and I'd come back down and end up right outside there. So I was ready to start again with a new needle. Okay, so pretty straightforward with that. But to close this, okay, look what I did here. I have the world's tiniest piece of thread. So I could macrame just as I did here, right? And the way I would do that is I would get, I'll show you on this one. I would get, let me just clamp this down real quick. I would taper this down. See how I've just laddered and tapered with 3, 2, and 1 of the 8/0 there. I'd do the same thing here. I'd taper it down. And then let's say that here's my thread that has the needle. I'm just going to bring it. It's not going to be pretty, but this is just a sample. I'm going to bring it down so you can see this. There we go. Because this thread is doubled. Okay. I would get another doubled strand. And then I would macrame. I'd bring this around. Let me lash this down. Take your own advice, Kate. And I'd just start my macrame. I'd make my Q. I'd go around. And so my threads are doubled because the thread is going through my needle doubled. But see there, it would just come in. You have to taper down or else you're going to have this weird lump here like I do, right? But you just continue to macrame it down until it's just a little length. Okay. if that makes sense. And I don't know, I do it so maybe it came to about right there. Okay, sorry, I wasn't right in the center. So what I would do though, I wouldn't do it with this one because I don't think it looks quite right. I want a knot at the end of mine here. Okay, and so I've got this tiny little needle. I even broke it off, right? It's just tiny. So I'm going to cut it away. And remember that knot that we tied at the beginning, that overhand knot where we did this, right? We're going to do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to come in, and I would wish that this end was a little bit bigger, or longer, but I'm just going to tie it in, and I'm going to go around and through, catching that end. And before I tighten it closed, I'm going to get my cement. Put a little bit of that GS Hypo there. It's going to catch, and this glue is going to catch the thread. Okay? So you're not going to worry about it. Ideally, your thread's a little longer, but if it's not the end of the world. So see how when I tighten everything up, that glue is caught in the knot and also on my finger a little bit. And tighten it up. Open this up just a little bit, and you can see there's the tails of that thread, and they're glued inside that knot. That's not going anywhere. You could even shove the tip of that hypo cement right in that knot and give it just a little, right? Just a little touch more. But I'm going to clip this other piece away. I'm going to get a little closer to my line of sight so I don't clip anything else off. Bear with me here. I should have my Xuron thread scissors, but they're not sitting right next to me. And so now we're going to measure for the button. Okay, so let me get this out of the way. And I'm going to bring this around, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball this and go, yeah, I put my button through and I say, yeah, I need to tie the knot, yeah, about right there. Okay, so I'm going to hold it, loop it. Before it tightens all the way, I'm going to double check this opening. That looks about right. And tie it up. Okay. Now again, I'll open this up. And in our projects, if you look at our wrap bracelets on beadshop.com, we have a billion wraps for you to look at. Seriously. Start watching the videos. You will get so many ideas about them. Now, you could, I'll show you two ways that I would close off the ends. You could tie a knot where I would go through once through the loop, twice through the loop, and just tie a little decorative knot right there at the end if I wanted to, like so. Tighten it up. And then come in with a sharp scissor or your wire cutter and clip it at an angle. And then I'll do that same knot here. I'll try not to do them one next to the other. Okay. Like that. I really like the simplicity of this design board. It's super versatile. I like it. But you know, whatever traditional methods you use for your laddering, you go for it. We carry these at Bead Shop, and I love them. So let's take a look at that closure. I'm going to get a little closer down to it so you can see it. Okay, and so it adds a nice little flavor at the end, a nice little, you know, it's very pretty, I think. I think it looks good. Okay, and then double check if it goes on. It does. And let's, for fun, what I call the door-to-door measurement, let's take a look at the measurement and see what it is. So if I go to where the button is going to, where the loop's going to sit on the button, to about right there where the button's going to sit, it's about 7 1/4. It's about right. Okay, so let's put it on. Let's, meaning me, put it on and see how it looks, if I can get it on my wrist. There we go. And it's all set. I love the way that this, what we call the new leaf button from Tierra Cast looks. I love how it looks there. And it's really just a very simple design. Now we carry a whole bunch of really beautiful Superduos. We've got some fresh ones that we just added to our Superduo stash here at Bead Shop. I did a really fantastic project in Superduos. As you're looking at that, I've got a few minutes, so I'm going to go grab it so you guys can see it. If you watch me regularly and you watched our Wednesday broadcast, when I did our classic beadshop.com design called Tapestry, well, this tapestry, I think, was a whole lot of fun. And this one's also done using the design board. And the design board, we used it like a loom instead of for laddering. So I grabbed the tapestry bracelet here. And let me just show you what that looks like. It's this one right here. And I'll get a little bit closer so you can see that. And it's in a clasp, in a magnetic clasp. But you can see how I've used the Superduos here, and the warp on this woven piece is regular Ceylon, and the weft, which goes back and forth, is also KO. And you can see, let's stack our pieces, shall we? I love a stack. I love the way a stack looks. And so it's great. And so these, we have these matte Superduos here, and this is just the regular size Superduo. We have these two new colors. This is matte velvet purple wine, and this is matte velvet dark teal, which I think are beautiful. And then I've got this purple one here. This is opal violet matte. And then this is the opal aqua matte. And I just grabbed these because I love the halo. This is halo magenta. So we've got a whole variety of really great Superduos for you guys. I also wanted to show this because we did do something special for Valentine's Day, and I debuted it on my Friday, Free Tip Friday broadcast. And we still have a few in stock. And so I know you guys love kits or love little bead mixes. So if you haven't grabbed one already, you get this mix. We call it Heartbreaker. It would also be great for a wrap. You get 12 of the 10 millimeter Swarovski crystal hearts, which are just gorgeous, these black hearts. And then I did a mix that comes in it's about 12 grams, I think, of 8/0. And they come together in a very pretty little organza bag. And so you have a lot of beads there to play with. And if you watch our last Free Tip Friday, Janice and I were on as Bead Doctor, and we played around with this mix a little bit there. I also wanted to mention, I promised I would share with you some coupons, a coupon code here. So let me pull that up. If today is the first day of the Great Bead Extravaganza, it is Saturday, February 6th. So we take 20% off store-wide on beadshop.com today and tomorrow, the 6th and the 7th. There's no minimum purchase required. All you do is put in TGBE, that stands for the Great Bead Extravaganza 20. Put it in the coupon box at checkout, and we'll knock 20% off your entire order. And that goes through midnight, Sunday to 7/21 at midnight Pacific time. Okay, so let me just double check. I'm going to put this, let me put the coupon code up here so you can see it while I say goodbye. Bear with me here. There it is. Let me go back to the comments and let me solo me. There I am. Excellent. So I hope you guys had a great time with me here this afternoon, this Saturday afternoon, playing around with Superduos. Again, check us out at beadshop.com. If you haven't joined me every Wednesday and Friday for our special broadcasts that we do. I have guests. Janice comes on. We yuck it up. We have a great time. So it is on Wednesdays and Fridays, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. You can also jump right over to our website, beadshop.com, and sign up for our newsletter. We do fun things like these mixes. We do giveaways. We do discounts, all kinds of fun stuff there. And I also wanted to mention, you guys, don't forget, we have a great giveaway going on this weekend at the Great Bead Extravaganza. If you go to, let me see, I think I got a photo of it. You want to go into, oh, I don't have it here, but that's okay. If you go over to the Great Bead Extravaganza group and you look for the photo of Candy Cooper's hand holding these goodie bags, right? Goodie bags. And there's a link there. Click that link, sign up, and you'll be entered to win. We have 3 jam-packed goodie bags for 3 lucky winners of the Great Bead Extravaganza who are watching. Okay, so we'd love to have you there as well. Well, it looks like my time is almost up. So thank you all for watching. We really, really appreciate it. Our small business always appreciates the support. And I know that the other small businesses that have banded together for strength in numbers for the Great Bead Extravaganza appreciate your support as well. We're missing Tucson this year, but I'll see you in Tucson in 2022, and hope to see you on my broadcasts on the beadshop.com Facebook page or the beadshop.com YouTube channel. Give it a follow. Thank you so much. And coming up after me is the great Kelly Sutton from the Bead Place. She's going to be amazing, and I bet she's going to do something with barrel knots. I'll make you a bet. I'll bet you $5. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Great weekend. We'll see you back here tomorrow after Kelly finishes up for day 2 of the Great Bead Extravaganza. All right, Kelly, take it away. She'll take it away in about 15 minutes. Thanks, everybody.